Hey guys, this is Kenneth with Dark coming at you with another Warlock build. Now you might be thinking, Ken, where are the sorcerer bids? Okay, you might not be thinking that, but if you are, then don't worry. I'll try to have one out very soon. Warlock has a lot of cool stuff to look at, so it's going to be really fun for the time being. Okay, so as for this video, we'll be talking about the concept of a Hexblade tank. Yes, you heard me right, a Hexblade Warlock tank build. Alright, so I mentioned the possibility of a Tanklock on one of my previous videos, and here today we're actually going to be building the thing. Now, one interesting thing to consider is a small dip into another class, Paladin or Cleric perhaps. And yes, even though you'll be concentrating purely on Hexblade, it might actually be beneficial to consider a dip into the Cleric. However, starting off as a fighter is still a very strong option for pure blade pack damage. However, the Cleric dip will give you a lot more versatility, especially when it comes to some of your Hexblade spells, namely Shield. I've always said that Shield is a great spell in terms of being a great first level spell option. It isn't a very good option on Warlock due to the fact that it doesn't scale with the Warlock spell slot progression via the Packed Magic feature. And a very good consideration to this problem would be the life. Well, a very good solution to this problem would be the Life or War Domain Cleric. This will grant you access to a couple of interesting spells, it will give you a few extra slots, and more importantly, it will give you a bonus proficiency in heavy armor. One very important point that often gets overlooked is your proficiencies. When you multiclass, in fact page 164 of the player's handbook has a list of the proficiencies that you get when you multiclass. And you only get a few from the class, because otherwise you'd have too many skills, and it helps keep the game somewhat fair and balanced. You might also get a few skills here and there, depending on what you multiclass into, but look carefully at your armor proficiencies with this build. And actually even the Paladin Sorcerer build, you really want to look at what your armor proficiencies are. You'll notice that you don't get anything above medium. You could use feats to get the proficiencies that you want, but it's not a very good use of a feat, especially considering that you have so few in 5th edition. Now, Packed Magic allows you to mix and match your spells and spell slots. So what you're going to want to do, and we're going to scroll all the way down here, and note you can actually take a 5-level dip into Cleric as well. It's not going to hurt you at all. In fact, it'll give you more versatility. So what you're going to want to do is to put Shield in your Cleric spells, and you're going to want to put Cure Wounds into your Warlock spells. Shield, Shield of Faith, and Divine Favor are superb choices for a single first level spell slot due to the fact that they do not increase the spell progression. However, Cure Wounds does increase the spell progression, and thus is worth putting into your Warlock slots. Both Shield and Shield of Faith are great for increasing your AC and should not be overlooked just because they're low-level castings. Of course, after you've been on the defensive for a while and you've managed to whittle down some of the enemy numbers, it's far more advantageous to stop being a tank and to then go on the offensive. And War Domain gives you just that. It gives you the ability to make some extra attacks as a bonus action through the War Priest feature, which allows you to make a number of extra attacks as a bonus action equal to your Wisdom modifier. This makes you a very balanced character in offense and defense, since most of your stuff is geared towards tanking and damage punching in the first place. Alright, so enough of that. We'll look at the spells a little bit later. What we're going to be looking at is your Packed Moon. You're going Pact of the Chains with this, for a main reason. Gift of the Ever-Living Ones. Alright, so what Gift of the Ever-Living Ones does is you treat, as long as your familiar is nearby, you treat any healing done by yourself or really any healing you receive as a maximum roll. You also have the nifty Cloak of Flies, which I'm actually going to reread that one here in a second. Cloak of Flies. Give me a second, I'm going to find the damn thing. There it is. Cloak of Flies, prerequisite 5th level. Cloak of Flies gives you something to where, as a bonus action, you can surround yourself with a magical aura that looks like buzzing flies. The aura includes your space and extends 5 feet from you in every direction and is blocked by total cover. It lasts until you're incapacitated or you dismiss it with a bonus action. The aura grants you advantage on Charisma and Intimidation checks, but disadvantage on all other Charisma checks. Any other creature that starts its turn in the aura takes poison damage equal to your Charisma modifier minimum of 0 damage. Once you use this invocation, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. Alright. Another good thing that you're going to want is Grasp of Adar is really kind of want to be your main invocation because you can pull things towards you and actually give your party opportunities to spread out. Another good one that you're going to want is Tomb of Vistus. So basically, things start looking bleak. You can use your reaction. For when you take damage, you can entomb yourself in ice, which melts away at the end of your next turn. You gain 10 temporary hit points per Warlock level, which take as much of the triggering damage as possible. You also gain a vulnerability to fire damage. Your speed is reduced to 0 and you are incapacitated, which also sadly ends Cloak of the Flies. But this is a very good damage sponging talent, or invocation, I should say. You have Relentless Hex, which I actually really like, because your Hexblade's Curse creates a temporary bond between you and your target. As a bonus action, you can magically teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see within 5 feet of the target, cursed by your Hex spell or a Warlock feature of yours, such as Hexblade's Curse and Sign of Ill Omen. To teleport in this way, you must be able to see the cursed target. And the last two ones are really optional. I consider Sign of Ill Omen really a good one for this, even though it does consume a spell slot, which is rather precious for Warlock. Relentless Hex is another very strong one. Double Sight I usually consider take on every Warlock. And Bewitching Whispers, again, it's a rather useful one. Probably not the best for this build, but I couldn't really think of anything better. Okay. Actually, technically there is one. That's called Trickster's Escape. So what Trickster's Escape does is it allows you to cast the Freedom of Movement spell once on yourself without expending a spell slot. You regain the ability to do so when you finish a long rest, much like Mire the Mind or Sign of Ill Omen. Alright. So let's say you took 5 levels of Cleric. Well, you'd get some more stuff. You get an ability score improvement, which would actually take away one of your ability score improvements, because this build really is really, like, I hate to say it, it really revolves around taking that 1 level dip into Cleric. And even then, you're still going to want decent Wisdom, because, you know, if you're using a Cure Wounds spell as a Cleric, which God forbid you do, you can actually avoid all that and actually just throw your 13 into your like a 14 into Wisdom, and just, you know, up Dexterity and Constitution to max, which will actually be a lot better for you. Yeah, I'm well aware that, you know, you want to have at least something decent from your Wisdom, but the problem is you're not really going to be using it. You're going to be more concerned with Charisma. So that's basically it. And yes, I am using the Rod of the Pact Keeper on this. It's one of my favorite Warlock items. But basically, this is basically everything you need to know to have any kind of build. And even then, when it comes to dealing damage, War Priest and Hexblade's Curse are just amazing. Because the Longsword through Hex Warrior goes off your Charisma for rolls to hit and damage. So it's a rather fun one, and you get to add your proficiency bonus with Hex Warrior as well, with Hexblade's Curse. So it's rather fun because it can quickly become a D8 plus 11 to damage. It's just really nice. And again, that's about all you really need. Like, again, 1 level dump of Cleric of War, and it's really, you're going to notice a huge survival bump because of the spells you get through War as well as War Priest. It'll really balance you out. Anyway, this has been Kenneth, signing off for now. And again, if you have any other ideas for builds that you want to see,